This is CTV News with Nafisa Karim.
On the street, crime goes down. Just their presence helps to reduce crime.
Back on the beat, Victoria police revived their foot patrols in downtown Victoria in an effort to crack down on crime.
Massive waiting lists, and you talk to anyone who's lived in co-op housing, and generally they'll tell you it's been a pretty great experience.
Bringing more homes to Duncan and Victoria, the federal government announces new co-op housing. Plus, Adam finds a love story featuring 3 surveys and a fish funeral later on the Sawatsky sign-off. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. A Vancouver Island woman who was killed last week is being identified as a respected and beloved instructor at Camosun College. Laura Gover-Bassar was found dead in a Saanich home January 5th. 46-year-old Muhammad Ali Bassar has been charged with second-degree murder. Court records designate this as a K file, which is used to identify intimate partner violence cases approved for prosecution. Gover-Bassar was a business instructor in Camosun's Management and Human Resource Leadership Department. In a statement, the college's president says her death comes as a terrible shock and that she was a well-respected, highly engaged and passionate instructor who was loved by many friends and colleagues. It says she epitomized the mission of the college to build a better future for our community. A 17-year-old boy from Saanich is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after a hit-and-run on the mainland Saturday night. Miles Mickey suffered broken bones and bleeding in his brain and is undergoing treatment in Metro Vancouver. His mother says he was in Richmond for a dance party and prior to being struck was involved in an altercation with a group of people. RCMP say the vehicle involved did not stop and they're searching for a dark Ford Fiesta that may have front-end damage. This afternoon, Mickey's mother shared an update on his health status with CTV News.
They've tried to wake him up a few times. He gets very, very agitated just because he's in extreme pain. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't understand where he is. So his blood pressure gets dangerously high. His heart rate gets dangerously high. So then they have to sedate him again. He's had multiple surgeries. He was in surgery for 8 hours the day after this happened.
The Claremont Secondary School student is now on the road to recovery. His mother says he has a broken femur and will need to recover for up to a year, but is expected to walk again. Anyone with information on the hit and run is asked to contact Richmond RCMP. Officers of the Victoria Police Department are once again patrolling the streets on foot. It's part of a re-established, dedicated beat team that was disbanded a number of years ago due to funding issues. CTV's Brendan Strange shows us the team is back under the city's Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, and the police chief hopes locals will notice the difference.
For the first time in years, Victoria police officers are once again walking the streets, part of a re-established, dedicated beat team.
Officers who are visible, approachable, and present on the street strengthens trust, improves safety, and creates opportunities for early intervention.
7 experienced VicPD officers have been reassigned to the beat team, with an additional 2 dedicated to work alongside Victoria bylaw officers.
We have made the commitment to fund all 9 of those officers to, as I believe the chief said, $1.9 million.
Due to a lack of funding in 2022, the Victoria Police Department made the decision to disband the team.
Having lost the beat unit, I feel like it did get worse.
Sergeant Craig Barker worked on that team, and now he heads up the revitalized unit. He says when the team was lost, so was the connection to the community.
It's the connections you make and just being able to go out and you know everyone you're dealing with.
Our downtown businesses have been dealing with a lot.
The owner of Oscar and Libby says this is a great start in getting a handle on crime, disorder, and open drug use of Victoria's downtown core.
We all know when there's police officers on the street, crime goes down. Just their presence helps to reduce crime.
I truly think it does make a difference.
Chris Lewis is CTV's public safety analyst, as well as a former OPP commissioner, and says this is a good move for the capital city.
Having visible police in the area at the right place and time is a good thing. And ultimately, I mean, if you could do it 24/7, 365 days a year, it'd be great. You can't.
These officers will work a 40-hour work week, Monday to Friday.
However, that is absolutely subject to change.
Victoria's police chief says she hopes this team will lay the groundwork for future expansion.
Ultimately, I'd like to see a second beat team established to support 7-day coverage, ensuring consistent presence and engagement across the city.
Brennan Strain, CTV News, Victoria.
After a soggy slog, the flood watches on Vancouver Island have all been downgraded to high stream flow advisories, and all evacuation orders have been lifted. The downgrade comes after several evacuations in the Oceanside community and a brief evacuation near Chemainus yesterday. Well, the road is now open. High river flows were a combination of snowmelt, heavy rains, and high tide. All evacuation alerts related to the rain yesterday have now been lifted. The federal government made 2 housing announcements on Vancouver Island today as the Carney government tries to make good on promises to build. CTV's Andy Garland has the details on the latest projects to address the ongoing housing crisis.
It's the first of its kind housing project in Duncan.
Federal government is providing over $44.7 million to help build 92 cooperative homes right here in North Cowichan.
Cooperative housing provides at-cost housing for its members. There's no outside landlord, and members have a vote in decisions.
Provides housing at a spectrum of affordability, where other housing models or rental models and other nonprofits may be mandated to deliver housing at a certain level of affordability.
The co-op housing model isn't a new concept and was widely used in the 1970s and 80s across the country, mainly in larger urban areas.
You look at places like Victoria and Vancouver, where it's a lot more well established. You've got massive waiting lists, and you talk to anyone who's lived in co-op housing, and generally they'll tell you it's been a pretty great experience.
Some people living in the area are opposed to the location by the Duncan curling rink and say it'll bring more parking headaches that already exist.
Having lived behind there for 8 years, parking in this entire area has been a total nightmare since back in 2006 and on.
This development is in close proximity to a lot of services and amenities, and anticipate many of the residents will be able to walk or cycle to where they need to be.
Our partners at all levels of government have provided the money.
In Victoria, $50 million in overall funding will go towards a second phase at the Gorge View Society, providing additional 77 homes for independent seniors and families.
They know that they're not going to be evicted. They can afford to pay the rents. And so that is the most gratifying.
Completion for the co-op housing project is expected in early 2028. Andy Garland, CTV News, North Cowichan.
We are getting our first look at renderings of the new RCMP building slated for Langford. That building will house RCMP for 3 Greater Victoria municipalities. The current building is from the 60s, then expanded in the 90s, and now deemed too small to adequately address public safety in the growing communities. The new building will be at the same location and will include offices, document storage, processing spaces, and 1 new forensics bay. Last month, the Capital Regional District's board approved the borrowing of $103 million for construction on behalf of the 3 communities. With the approval of the validation report, the project proceeds to the next phase of detailed design and procurement. 2 Nanaimo search and rescue pups are ready to live out their golden years after a decade of using their expert noses to find people in distress. Rory and Hazel, 2 half-siblings, joined Nanaimo Search and Rescue in 2015 and 2016. The duo served the community with unmatched dedication, intelligence, and heart, tackling some major tasks across the province. Along with their handlers, Rory and Hazel had many successful searches and life-saving finds. The pups will now spend their time exploring, playing, and following their noses for fun. The Victoria Film Festival is gearing up for the 32nd annual event and says it's ready to cram as much cinematic mayhem, community magic, and joyful weirdness into 10 days as it can. Organizers have unveiled the lineup for 2026, and it includes more than 100 films. Other activities include a new art exhibit, pop-ups, a gala, robots, and some secrets the festival says are ready to be discovered. Special guests include Mary Walsh from This Hour Has 22 Minutes and Academy Award winner Sheila McCarthy. The festival runs February 6th through 15th. Tickets and the full schedule can be found at victoriafilmfestival.com. Still to come, the Prime Minister heads to China for trade talks.
China's being very savvy in the way that it's picked areas to tariff to pit one region of the country against another.
How what happens in China could impact Canada's trade talks down the line with the U.S.
11 degrees at the harbor right now, 12 degrees at Victoria Airport. Looks like this is the warmest day since mid-December. Some more double-digit days on the way. We'll get into that. Tell you how much rain fell across the island over the last 3 days right after the break.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next vacation by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
What makes West Shore Parks and Recreation a perfect place to play? It's our staff, working behind the scenes to keep the pool safe, kids engaged, and programs thriving. So apply today and join our team.
Josh joins us now. Feels like the taps have been turned off.
Finally, right? Take a look at some of these 3-day rainfall totals. Came in from Environment and Climate Change Canada. This is in millimeters, so you got 184 millimeters. Look at the Kennedy Lake Forestry Station. 304, that is 34 centimeters of rain over the course of 3 days. Victoria, well, wasn't as impressive, although it was pretty wet. 44 millimeters worth of rain. Port Alberni, 127 millimeters of rain. Double digits here in Nanaimo and Victoria, 11 and 12. This 12 degrees at the airport. Warmest day since mid-December, although yesterday was close. We got to 11 for a daytime high yesterday. There's a nice little ridge that's starting to shape up, and so drier today. But you can see this twist here. That low is going to drag some of this cloud cover through overnight tonight and early tomorrow morning across northern parts of the island. So you'll get some rain in and around Port Hardy. Tofino will probably see some rain sort of through the morning hours. Areas north of Tofino, a little more rain as well. This will not be heavy, steady rain. And then for Comox, Port Alberni, and Nanaimo, as the day goes on, it's more like scattered showers, especially midday. And even in Victoria, you might see a scattered shower tomorrow, especially early in the day. So overnight tonight, early tomorrow morning, some more rain, then some sunny breaks, 10 degrees in the north tomorrow afternoon. Still a chance, a slight risk of some drizzle Thursday morning, but after that, by Thursday afternoon, the sun comes out, and you've got sunshine in the forecast for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 11 degrees for inland areas. As we said, there is a good chance of a shower, although probably not heavy rain. Best time for that would be, or most likely time would be midday. Sunny for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In fact, that's a pattern you'll see right across the island. Periods of rain tonight and into tomorrow morning, especially from Tofino north. 10 degrees tomorrow and Thursday, and then 11s and 12s in the sun for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 40% chance of scattered shower, especially midday tomorrow in Comox. Otherwise, mixed sun and cloud, high of about 10. That's a handful of degrees above average. 11, and some sunshine on the way for Friday. And in Nanaimo, you're looking at some increase in cloud overnight tonight. Chance of a scattered shower late tomorrow morning or midday. High of about 11 with some sunny breaks tomorrow afternoon, and then mainly sunny to partly cloudy skies on Thursday. Only 6 degrees, the average daytime high. 10s and 11s here for the next 3 days, and more sunshine into the weekend with temperatures, getting back a little closer to average, but certainly not cool in the 6 or 7 degree range, I think, by Sunday. In Victoria, about 8 degrees for a morning low tomorrow. 7 is the average high for this time of year. So the coolest temperatures in the morning, warmer than the seasonal averages for the highs, should get to about 11, maybe 12 tomorrow. We'll see cloudy skies with a few sunny breaks. That chance of some drizzle in the morning hours tomorrow, and then maybe a little bit more Thursday morning. But after that, it is dry and sunny for Friday and the weekend. CTV Weather is brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So taps are off, and they'll stay off for a while, Nafisa.
Yeah, happy to trade an umbrella for sunscreen. Thanks, Josh. BC Transit is rolling out a new policy that was first test run in the Victoria system last fall. Buses across BC will now display on their digital sign standing room only when seating space is exceeded. BC Transit says the changes have been successful in Victoria, with a 55% reduction in pass-ups and fewer complaints from the public. The changes also mean if there is no longer any standing room available, bus drivers will communicate the bus is full, with riders waiting to get on.
And when the bus is full to the red line, the driver will still stop at every bus stop and communicate with the customer that, I'm sorry, I can't take you on this bus, but there will be another bus by shortly. So it's not just about reducing pass-ups, it's also about improving customer communication for our drivers.
The changes mean less physical space for riders when buses are full, and Transit asks passengers to be courteous and offer their seats to seniors and those with mobility challenges. The changes take effect January 18th. Automaking powerhouse Ontario doesn't want cheap Chinese electric vehicles in the market, and neither does Donald Trump. This as Prime Minister Mark Carney is off to China for trade talks. The federal government says he is sensitive to the fact those talks with China could impact upcoming talks on the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Free Trade Agreement. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
The U.S. president toured a Ford factory close to our border in Detroit and gave upcoming CUSMA trade talks a shrug.
It's irrelevant to me. Canada would love it. Canada wants it. They need it. Because we don't need Canada product. That's the thing. You know, I want to be a nice person, but we don't need. I want to build the cars here, not in Canada.
Donald Trump also doesn't want cheap Chinese EVs.
Thank you so much.
And flanked by Michigan lawmakers, Ontario Premier Doug Ford urged Mark Carney not to back down on Canada's 100% tariff on them during his trip to China.
It would not be good for Ontario and Canada, and it sure the heck wouldn't be good for the U.S., and it wouldn't be good when it comes to negotiating with President Trump.
Canadian government sources say to expect some progress on punishing canola tariffs, which China slapped on in retaliation for the EVs.
They've been absolutely devastating to the industry. Well, we've lost over $1 billion Canada-wide. Frankly, just even for my farm, I'm just under $100,000 myself, and that really hurts.
But with Saskatchewan's premier now joining for some Beijing meetings.
Would you take Mo if you didn't expect some relief, some schedule of lower tariffs on canola? Probably not.
Many are wondering if that means EV concessions are on the table.
China's being very savvy in the way that it's picked areas to tariff to pit one region of the country against another. I think premiers have been very restrained in terms of their approach on this, in terms of not trying to divide the country against itself.
In a briefing ahead of the Prime Minister's China trip, federal government sources spoke of addressing trade irritants on both sides systematically, but wouldn't share details on conversations around canola or EVs. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up, viral love. Adam meets a couple whose love story spans from multiple choice to matrimony. Next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Forget the classic rom-com, 4 weddings and a funeral. Adam found a love story featuring 3 surveys and a fish funeral on tonight's Sawatsky Sign-Off.
If Graham McCarthy was asked to answer a multiple-choice question about the best beginning for a love story, he likely wouldn't have picked officiate a fish funeral.
Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, officiated a fish funeral. That's what I did.
That's what the pastor was doing when he met a friend of a friend for the first time named Katrina Froese.
So it was fun that he showed up and he had a whole eulogy, and that's the kind of humor that I was like, all right, I can get behind this.
So when he eventually asked her out, Katrina said yes. But then Graham sent her a survey to fill out about her preferences for their first date.
I thought it was a joke. I didn't think he was serious, but then he really wanted me to answer the questions. So I was like, okay, guess this is real.
The mostly multiple choice questions range from what kind of food she wanted to eat to her preference levels of fancy schmanciness, from pajamas to a dress, suit and tie.
Purely efficiency. Had a lot of questions, didn't want to send a lot of text.
Graham also hoped it would be charming. And after they went to a dinner and a movie, and he presented her with a post-date survey, Katrina agreed it was. And then she posted it on social media.
Within like a couple of hours, it like blew up.
While the post earned more than 10 million views, the couple learned they were compatible in countless ways. And after dating for a few years, Graham asked Katrina to stop in the middle of a hike to look at her phone and fill out another form.
That basically gave a survey of how he's been doing in our relationship.
After answering them all positively, Katrina read the final question. Will you marry me? As you can see, she said yes. And then a few months later, they both declared, I do.
It was awesome. It was like super sweet.
Oh, it was incredible. It was the best wedding I've ever been to.
Although Graham hasn't sent any other surveys since, both he and Katrina are committed to keep having fun and always consider each other's preferences moving forward.
Like, don't seek your needs, seek the other person's needs, and if you're both doing that, then everybody's needs will be met.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Sawatsky Sign-Off, brought to you by
CapitalDirect.ca. That is it for CTV News Vancouver Island. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night.